The sun peaks over the horizon, and the toucans announce a new awakening. Macaws fill the sky with color. In the treetops, howler monkeys sing their melodies. Meanwhile, capybaras enjoy a bath. This is the Amazon, a wildlife paradise in the heart of wild South America. Here, life sprouts even under the stones. Mother Nature has never been so generous. The Amazon is a green Eden, where rivers, like veins, transport life to every corner. Giving nature offers an infinite banquet of exotic fruits for all its inhabitants. And under the warm tropical sun, the jungle becomes a stage where life flourishes in its maximum expression. But what seems like a dream for animal life, in just seconds, turns into a nightmare. The monkeys run in panic through the treetops. The capybaras jump in terror into the dark waters, and the birds flee to the safety of the sky. No creature can escape the king of the Amazon jungle. The jaguar, untamed, appears on the scene, and with him, the unfortunate prey see their imminent end. Deep in a dense jungle, this feline stands as the all-powerful monarch, dominating the food chain with an iron fist. In the blink of an eye, it appears out of nowhere and transforms itself into death itself. This is the Amazon jungle, a place where wildlife gives no respite, and in every corner there is a battle for survival. In this pristine ecosystem, just as resources are unlimited, predators are plentiful. This creates a perfect balance between life and death. With the appearance of the jaguar, the prey flee in a fight for their lives straight into the dark waters. But in the Amazon, there is no safe place. If the jaguar is the king of the Amazon jungle, the caiman is the dictator of the rivers. From the mighty tributaries of the Amazon emerges the giant black caiman with its lethal bite, ready to devour everything in its path. What until seconds ago looked like a log in the water turns into a ruthless reptile with a lethal bite. Not even the dark wetlands are an impregnable refuge. Solitary, crawling through the dense vegetation like a ghost, the anaconda is another of the executioners that terrorize the rest of the Amazonian animal species. When survival is at stake, for these large predators, it is kill or be killed. The Amazon is an area of more than 7 million square kilometers, located between Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Guyana, Peru, Suriname, and Venezuela. With an extension 2 times larger than the Congo rainforest and 3 times larger than the biome of Southeast Asia, the Amazon is the largest tropical forest on the planet. A whole world covered with a vast carpet of vegetation, the size of entire continents. With a warm, humid climate and the most fertile soil on the planet, the Amazon is like a giant natural greenhouse, where leaves grow freely, trees spread their roots for miles, and flowers are more vivid. With more than 40,000 plant species discovered, this ecosystem is an Eden in the middle of South America. The approximately 400 billion trees of the Amazon rainforest represent the lungs of the planet. Thanks to its infinite tropical forests, the Amazon absorbs up to 1.5 billion tons of CO2 per year. Through the thick tropical jungle, the Amazon River, irreverent, traces its course. With more than 20% of the planet's fresh water, this tributary is responsible for irrigating the endless forests, home to the world's most fascinating wild creatures. In the face of such abundance, the Amazon is home to more than 5,000 animal species, with 427 species of mammals, 1,300 species of birds, 378 reptiles, 400 amphibians, and approximately 3,000 freshwater fish. In the presence of such a vastness of animals, biodiversity is abysmal. In the Amazon, birds swim, fish fly, and even monkeys think they are spiders. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, where trees are the most abundant resource, spider monkeys have decided to make them their method of transportation. Living in groups of up to 30 individuals, spider monkeys are one of the lucky inhabitants of the Amazon rainforests. With miles and miles covered with lush trees full of exquisite fruits, as soon as the sun peeks over the horizon, these primates embark on their busy routine in search of food, traveling up to 18 kilometers a day. Spider monkeys have a look that is not at all frightening, but very useful for their day-to-day life in the middle of the Amazonian wilderness. With a height of up to 90 centimeters and weighing no more than 10 kilograms, these primates have an ideal build to spend all day moving through the dense vegetation. Although they look very self-confident while jumping between tree branches, the truth is that these monkeys lack thumbs, so they must hold on with the help of their only 4 fingers. Spider monkeys compensate for the absence of what would be a very useful thumb with nothing less than a long prehensile tail of up to 92 centimeters. The combination of this long, lanky tail with their already long limbs is what gives spider monkeys their peculiar name. When you're an agile spider monkey with the vastness of the Amazon at your tail's reach, you're not going to waste the opportunity to sample the many delicacies that the fertile rainforests have to offer. With the bountiful Amazon rainforest offering a wide diversity of fruits, seeds, leaves, flowers, and buds, these primates are more than assured of 3 meals a day. After finding a tasty avocado or a juicy papaya, spider monkeys usually hang from a tree branch with only their tails, about 20 meters above the ground, and placidly enjoy their tropical feast. Of course, although Mother Nature is amply generous with her gastronomic offerings of fruits and herbs, when a small invertebrate or insect gets in the way, who could resist such a succulent, protein-rich snack? As a curious fact, not even spiders are spared from being part of the more than varied diet of the monkeys that bear their name. When it comes to food, living in one of the richest ecosystems on the planet has its advantages. With a full stomach, spider monkeys can focus their attention elsewhere. Living in a paradise where life flourishes everywhere and food is plentiful, these primates don't have to think twice about bringing new life into the herd. As a somewhat peculiar occurrence, the females, when they have reached sexual maturity, are the ones that leave their group to join another troop, while the males will remain in the birth herd. The new members of the herd are the ones who choose their mate. The act of mating usually begins with a quick sniff of the partner's genitals, after which the monkeys begin to get romantic. Speaking of their genitalia, in the case of spider monkeys, females can grow a clitoris so developed that it often exceeds the size of the male organ. After copulation, it will begin a not at all brief gestation of up to 232 days. After that, the miracle of life will be born in the form of a small offspring. For the mother, the work will not come to an end after carrying the calf in her womb all that time. For the next 4 months, she will have to take care of her baby, nursing it, teaching it to find food, and protecting it from the numerous predators that would be more than happy to savor the tender flesh of a little spider monkey. In a neighborhood where eagles soar through the sky, snakes hide among the branches, and ocelots and jaguars are just waiting for a little slip, it is best that the calf does not stray from the group. When a pack of spider monkeys detects danger, they have a few tricks up their sleeves. With their wide repertoire of vocalizations, following in their eagerness to imitate other species, emitting a loud, canine-like bark is always an option. If the intruder does not give in to his dark intentions of making one of the primates part of his diet, they can get a little more creative, throwing branches from trees, or even throwing urine and feces. Just as the majestic Amazon hosts primates that bark and think they are spiders, the anhinga or snakebird is another of those species that have a clear personality conflict. The anhinga's particular habit of swimming with its entire body submerged underwater, leaving only its long neck above the surface, is what has earned it its unsettling nickname of snakebird. While this bird placidly enjoys the refreshing waters of the tributaries of the Amazon River, all those who see it from the surface think it is a wild snake waiting to launch its attack. While the small rodents are relieved that it's not a ferocious snake, the myriad fish that inhabit the waters of the Amazon are not so happy. The anhinga is a prodigious fisherwoman capable of catching with its sharp beak any fish that crosses its path. Although it may be a snake-like bird, when it comes to swimming, the anhinga is almost like a fish. Thanks to its webbed feet, dense bones, and permeable feathers, this bird is a master of underwater hunting. To get his daily sustenance, the snakebird stalks the fish by hiding in the dense vegetation of the river. When it has set its sights on a potential prey, it starts the chase, in which the anhinga will sooner or later end up stabbing the innocent fish with its sharp and very dangerous beak. Having caught something, the bird will carry its trophy still embedded in its beak to the surface. With a quick and very precise movement of its head backwards, the bird will grab the beak of its prey, throwing it into the air, and with a jerk, straight into its mouth. Although the majority of this bird's diet corresponds to small fish, living in the abundant Amazon, it does not have to limit itself to these only, and varies its menu a bit with crustaceans, amphibians, aquatic insects, and even snakes. Because yes, in the Amazon, the snakebird also eats snakes. After a successful day of fishing, the bird usually rests with its wings open to bask in the sun. Because its plumage is permeable to water, the anhinga needs to perform this ritual in order to dry well, so that it can move well on land or take flight. Their sunbathing sessions on trees near the river are vital to maintain their body temperature. After a few foraging dives, even in the hot Amazonian climate, the anhinga can lose heat quite quickly, but nothing that a couple of hours of sunbathing by the river can't solve. Without this technical stop to dry its feathers, it is somewhat difficult for it to fly, as its body becomes heavy and unaerodynamic. Although when fresh from the water, it does not have the ability to fly. If the anhinga detects any potential danger, such as an ocelot or a bird of prey, it will flap its wet wings vigorously while moving its legs, which simulates the effect of walking on water. After a comforting and well-deserved rest under the radiant Amazonian sun, the bird is ready to dazzle with its majestic flight. In the air, the anhinga looks like a cross as it glides with its wings fully extended and observes the infinity of the Amazon rainforest on the horizon. Just as the anhinga causes terror among the thousands of species of fish that inhabit the swamps, when the king of the Amazon rainforest appears on the scene, tension is felt in the air. Sneaking through the vegetation with a slow pace and a cold gaze, the jaguar is the absolute lord and master of the Amazon. With a robust build, weighing up to 100 kilograms and a length of 1.8 meters, this feline is a colossal savage killer that rules every inch of the Amazon jungle with an iron fist. Its yellowish-brown fur with black rosettes gives it the perfect camouflage to disappear among the thick vegetation of the Amazon. In just seconds, just as a gigantic feline appears out of nowhere, it disappears without a trace, except for the consequences of its voracious appetite. Being able to devour up to 23 kilograms of meat in a single meal. For this feline, there is no prey that is not within its reach, or at least not in the vastness of the Amazon. When the jaguar goes hunting, the best thing for other species is to flee. Despite being a savage feline with sharp retractable claws and one of the strongest bites in the entire animal kingdom, the jaguar's best quality for bringing food to your table is its stealth. Hidden, without giving the slightest sign of its presence, The jaguar stalks its prey, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When it least expects it, the feline, with an impressive leap of up to 6 meters long, falls directly on its prey and clings to it with its sharp claws. While other felines target the neck of their prey, the jaguar does not play games, preferring to direct its ferocious bite directly at the head of its victims. Its powerful jaw, with a force of over 700 newtons, is capable of shattering the skulls of its prey in just one bite, knocking them out. Since the dense Amazon jungle is not a particularly suitable terrain for big chases, this majestic feline sees ambushes as its best strategy to get something in its stomach. When the jaguar wants to satiate its appetite, none of the animal species of the Amazon is safe. With its incredible strength, the king of the Amazon jungle is capable of hunting prey 3 times its size, and without any difficulty. Species such as capybaras, tapirs, turtles, armadillos, peccaries, iguanas, and even caimans are the unfortunate ones that often find themselves in the sights of the savage jaguar. Not even herds of spider monkeys are safe in the treetops, more than 20 meters above the ground, because, making it clear that its claws are not decorative, the jaguar is a prodigious climber and will use this gift to reach its food. Knowing that hiding high in the trees is not an option, some try to reach the waters, where they mistakenly believe they will be out of reach of the wild jaguar's bite. But when chasing prey, this gigantic feline will not hesitate for a second to dive in to claim what is his. Being an excellent swimmer, it is even capable of hunting fish, diving for short periods. To maintain its reputation as the most bloodthirsty predator in the Amazon, the jaguar is extremely jealous of its domain and will not let another feline invade its territory without facing the consequences. Just one adult male can dominate vast areas of up to 80 square kilometers, where he will benefit from the abundance of prey and the females that enter the area with the intention of mating. When a male outsider attempts to invade another's domain, the outsider will be warned with signs such as scratches on trees and mounds of feces. In case the invader does not decide to turn back, as a final warning, a loud roar will rumble through the thick forests, announcing that peace is no longer an option. Since felines can be seriously injured in these fights, sanity often wins the battle, and the intruders choose to turn back, giving up their intentions of extending their domain. Another moment when the entire Amazon holds its breath is when the jaguar crosses paths with the imposing anaconda. In these confrontations, the felines, using their powerful bite, crush the snake's bones into submission. However, a colossal anaconda is a more than worthy rival for the king of the Amazon, and on many occasions it is the felines that end up passing away, being suffocated to death. This is a hard lesson that shows that in the Amazon, no one is exempt from becoming prey. From the hostile domain of the savage jaguar, let us return to the endless canopy, where the treetops stretch as far as the eye can see. Here, with the Amazon showing a much friendlier face than that of a savage feline exerting its power, birds congregate to enjoy the fruit feast that the tropical climate affords them. In the midst of this wildlife festival, no species stands out as much as the colorful toucans. With a long beak that can be as large as its body and a wide range of colors, toucans are one of those unmistakable birds in the Amazon. Living in flocks of up to 20 individuals, each day, when the sun peeks out of the east, these birds announce the beginning of a new day of wildlife in the Amazon rainforest. Toucans are those noisy neighbors that no one wants to have on a Sunday morning, as their wide repertoire of vocalizations makes them really loud. They growl, snore, bark, squawk, and even chirp. Contrary to the jaguar, stealth and going unnoticed is not in the plans of the noisy toucans. Looking at the long beak of these birds, which can reach 20 centimeters, one might think that toucans are engineering prodigies, and that they use it to drill trees and build their cozy nests, but nothing of the sort. Toucans prefer other birds to do the hard work of building a comfortable nest, and when it is abandoned, they will get to occupy this space at zero cost. Usually, woodpeckers are the contractors who unwittingly provide a comfortable home for toucans. Mother Nature is extremely generous with these colorful beaked birds, because in addition to providing them with free lodging, she has placed them in one of the richest ecosystems on the planet, where the supply of fruits, berries, and seeds is almost unlimited. When it comes to eating, these birds get every possible use out of their functional beak. With it, they pick fruits from the trees, hold them, and even peel them. Despite being mainly frugivorous and having all the fruit offerings of the Amazon rainforest on its table, when a toucan comes across an unwary lizard or some insects, it cannot help but let its predatory instincts come to the fore, and it ends up devouring these unfortunates. After a long day of devouring delicious tropical fruits and the occasional insect, these birds are exhausted. At times, the hot climate of the Amazon can get a little too hot for comfort. When this happens, toucans do not have the slightest problem regulating their temperature, since through their long beaks they can emit heat, thus cooling their bodies. Refreshed and with full stomachs, these birds often take short walks very close to the treetops. Since they spend most of their day perched in the branches of the canopy, their flying skills are somewhat limited. While some have attributed their poor flying skills to their huge bill, the truth is that the bill is made of spongy bone inside, which makes it quite light in comparison to their size. With the abundance of resources offered by the Amazon and the relative stability of the flock, the toucans decide to get romantic and enlarge the family. The courtship of these birds is truly fascinating and varied, ranging from throwing fruit at each other, exchanging small branches and food, and beak-swinging rituals by the male to impress the female. Anything goes when it comes to finding a mate. Contrary to other wild species where love remains just one night of passion, the toucan couple commits forever, staying together for the rest of their lives. After copulation, both the female and the male will participate in the incubation of up to 5 eggs for a period of about 15 days. After this, the young will hatch, hatching blind and featherless chicks, which will require parental care for a few weeks. Although the adults eat a diet rich in fruits, for the chicks, the parents will prefer high-protein foods such as a rich grasshopper or a meaty iguana. This diet will ensure that the little ones grow up healthy and strong and can fend for themselves as soon as possible. After about 50 days of parental care, the chicks will be ready to leave the nest and discover the majestic Amazon jungle with their parents. Entire Amazonian neighborhood with their songs as soon as the sun rises. For other flying inhabitants, this means it is time to go to sleep. As the Amazon opens its eyes after the dark night, the bats call it a day and return to the comfort of their caves, trunks, and leafy trees. With the radiant tropical sun illuminating the vastness of the Amazon, bats need not think twice before seeking their daytime roosts. Sleeping up to 20 hours a day, not even the noisy songs of toucans or the frightening roar of the jaguar can wake these sleepy sleepers. Although they take advantage of the day to take a long nap, the truth is that these guardians of the night avoid going out during daylight hours to protect themselves from the heat, as their thin black wings absorb solar radiation very easily. In order to have a placid and dark rest, bats look for hidden places where they can hang upside down and enjoy a restful sleep. This peculiar way of sleeping is due to a survival mechanism to avoid terrestrial predators. as well as to be ready in case they have to undertake an emergency flight, since it is difficult for them to take off from the ground. While the bats sleep comfortably, the Amazon's wildlife continues as normal. Harpy eagles soar through the skies, howler monkeys make the jungle tremble, and capybaras bask in the sun after a relaxing swim. The hours pass, and the sun begins to say goodbye to the Amazon rainforest, and darkness becomes the protagonist. When the last ray of sunlight that illuminated the thick jungle disappears, the colonies of bats put on one of the greatest wildlife spectacles in the Amazon. With more than 160 species of bats inhabiting the Amazon rainforest, these flying mammals are the masters of the night in this tropical paradise, now plunged into darkness. Of course, after spending up to 20 hours resting, when the night envelops the tropical forests, the bats have a very clear mission: to feed. Even at night, when most of the Amazon's animal species are deep in slumber, the food supply far exceeds the demands of the thousands of bats that roam the skies. In this rich ecosystem, succulent fruits and delicious nectar are everywhere. However, after almost a full day without food, bats will be looking for something more substantial to appease their appetites. This is when small mammals, reptiles and insects such as mosquitoes, crickets and flies should be on the lookout. Thanks to their sophisticated echolocation capabilities, even in the middle of the dark Amazonian night, bats have no trouble finding their next victims. With dawn coming closer and closer, they must be quick if they are to meet their demanding feeding quota. An adult bat will eat up to 100% of its body weight in insects in a single night. Among all the diversity of bat species that take over the night in the Amazon, there are some that have more refined and never better said bloodthirsty tastes. Vampire bats feed exclusively on blood, which they obtain from prey such as horses, pigs, tapirs, and any warm-blooded animal. Although blood can be a delicious elixir for them, the truth is that it has very few nutrients, so they must consume the equivalent of half their weight every night to feel satiated. Although when night falls, bats start a race against the clock to find food, they cannot forget that they live in the wild Amazon, where no species is exempt from becoming the dinner of another, even in the wee hours of the morning. For birds like owls and owls, the thousands of bats that cover the dark Amazonian sky are an all-you-can-eat feast, or rather, hunt. The Amazon floor is not a safe place to take a break from the evening either, as there are always snakes, lizards, and even felines that won't say no to a midnight snack. With their food quota covered, and with birds and other predators on the prowl, just before the radiant Amazonian sun makes its appearance, the bats return to their shady roosts. However, not everyone has had such good luck finding food, and when millions of bats take to the skies, it is normal for one or another mammal to end up with an empty stomach. This is when these night watchers demonstrate what it means to live in community, and those who succeeded in the night expedition share their food with those who did not fare so well. Even the vampire bats go so far as to selflessly give their blood to those less well off. This is admirable behavior aimed at ensuring the preservation of the species. Although most of the time these small mammals give away their food without expecting anything in return, when the mating season approaches, something rather peculiar happens. Among some bat colonies, the oldest trade in the world is practiced. After foraging for food, the males return with a juicy fruit, or perhaps a tasty insect in their mouths, and the females take their payment. After this, the females do their part and reward the males handsomely. With the bats once again entering a comforting rest, the Amazon's wildlife must go on. Although, with its tropical climate, the Amazon shows few seasonal changes, the onset of the rainy season does make itself felt. With the arrival of the rains, hundreds of rivers overflow, and thousands of kilometers of jungle are flooded, creating vast wetlands teeming with animal life. Aquatic species see their kingdom spread, while for birds it is like an Eden on land. Of course, in the face of such a waste of resources, it is important, literally, not to lose one's head. Just as the Amazon gives life, in a matter of seconds it can take it away. In the middle of the vast wetlands created by the rains, there are not only thousands of small fish waiting to satisfy the appetite of the wild inhabitants of the surface. For the black caiman, the arrival of the rains is also very good news, as its domain has expanded, and it can continue to lay siege to its prey with its ferocious bite. With a body completely covered by armored armor, and a jaw with sharp teeth capable of tearing and crushing bones like butter, the black caiman is a lethal killer that roams the swamps of the Amazon. Despite measuring up to 6 meters long and weighing up to 450 kilograms, this reptile can literally disappear into the choppy waters, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to emerge with its lethal bite. Thanks to its abysmal strength, the black caiman is capable of hunting even prey that exceeds its size. In the Amazon, no species is 100% safe from being devoured by this majestic and, at the same time, ruthless reptile. The black caiman's diet is made up of practically everything within reach of its bite, from fish such as catfish, piranhas, or perch, to mammals such as sloths, armadillos, monkeys, capybaras, and porcupines. All can become, in a matter of seconds, a substantial meal for the dictator of the Amazonian waters. With the arrival of torrential rains in the Amazon rainforest, the black caiman sees its domain expand, and its hunting grounds multiply. Of course, as astute predators, the reptiles will seek to establish themselves near herds of capybaras and peccaries, where they can get a decent meal with relatively little effort. The alligator's strategy is simple, yet effective. By hiding in the dark waters and leaving only their eyes and nose above the surface, it is only a matter of time before a prey falls into the trap. Often the gentle capybaras dive into the water with the intention of taking a refreshing dip, not knowing that this will be their last. When the black alligator spots its prey, it pounces on it with its lethal bite, grabbing it and pulling it into the dark waters to drown it. After a quick struggle, the reptile opens its enormous jaws and prepares to devour it. Despite its sharp teeth, the alligator is incapable of chewing, so it usually tears large chunks of meat and swallows them whole. If the size of the prey exceeds its voracious appetite, the black caiman has no qualms about saving the rest for later, waiting for the meat to decompose and become easier to tear. Although very happy to satisfy his appetite, the black caiman must tread carefully, as his stories of ferocity and mastery of the waters may reach the ears of the king of the Amazon jungle, who will not tolerate such an act of rebellion. Occasionally, the paths of the all-powerful jaguar and the savage black caiman cross, resulting in a true clash of the titans in which only one will survive. In a relentless fight, both combatants stand a chance, the black caiman using its powerful jaw and long tail, and the jaguar with its sharp claws and fearsome bite. Although nothing is set in stone, in these fights the jaguar usually shows who is in charge in the Amazon, and with a lethal bite to the neck, it paralyzes the ferocious reptile before dragging it deep into the jungle to devour it. However, the jaguar cannot be trusted, as in these fights his throne as king of the Amazon could be compromised, so it is best for the feline not to wander through swamps infested with adult caimans. With the onset of the rains, black caiman hatchlings are about to hatch. At the end of the dry season, the female deposited about 60 eggs in a gigantic nest up to 1.5 meters wide, which are about to bring dozens of, for now, small reptiles. All this, of course, if nature permits. In what seems to be a kind of revenge for the multiple victims of the black caiman's voracious appetite, the young are usually the ones who pay for the actions of their parents. Both the nests full of eggs and the small reptiles recently hatched are targeted by herons, hawks, raccoons, coatis, otters, and snakes. All these species are eager to taste a delicious caiman calf and take revenge for their fellow creatures that have passed to a better life in the hands of these savage dictators of the Amazonian waters. Although black caimans cause terror throughout the endless swamps created by the abundant rainfall, some species manage to thrive in their little corner of these wetlands. Such is the case of giant otters, which against all odds, have managed to deal with both terrestrial and aquatic predators, earning their place in the rich ecosystem of the Amazon. Also known as choker otters, are a species of mammal that inhabits the beds of the mighty Amazon River. For these otters, the only way to thrive in such a wild environment as the Amazon jungle is by living in a community where each member takes refuge in the family. Otter groups usually consist of a breeding pair and their offspring. Given their name, it is easy to guess that these mammals are not particularly small. A giant otter can measure up to 2 meters and weigh 45 kilograms, which makes them one of the large mammals that protect the Amazon. For the giant otters, the vast lands flooded by the torrential rains are a personal paradise, where they can fish freely and enjoy the refreshing waters. The body of these mammals is fully adapted to an amphibious lifestyle, with dense fur, short legs with interdigital folds, and a powerful flipper-like tail. With all these adaptations, giant otters feel like fish in water, reaching speeds of up to 14 kilometers per hour. And speaking of fish, with more than 3,000 different species of fish teeming the waters of the Amazon, giant otters are ready to feast on them. With only one male eating up to 11 kilograms of fish per day, the only way to cover this quota is to work as a family. To this end, otters participate cooperatively in fishing trips. In addition to possessing an advanced sense of sight and moving with great agility underwater, these mammals have a wide variety of hunting strategies in their playbook. Some of these include arrowhead, line formation, and corralling. When working as a team, no shoal can escape these clever strategists. Otters emerge from the water with a full stomach. For some families of giant otters, the key to their survival is to choose a good habitat with abundant prey and privileged access to the riverbank. To establish a home, they usually clear an area of vegetation and dig a comfortable den with several exits where they can protect themselves from outside dangers. To keep other otters away from their property, they often leave marks with their scent glands, as well as traces of urine and feces. Sometimes these signs are ignored by intruders who want to claim this territory, and the family comes out to defend what is theirs. Before getting into frontal combat, otters try to intimidate invaders with vocalizations such as grunts, whistles, and cries. If this does not work, another alternative is to demonstrate their ferocity by baring their teeth and raising their neck and head to appear larger. When all attempts at pacifism fail, they have no choice but to initiate a melee using their sharp teeth and lashing out with their powerful paws. Usually, when an invader dares to enter the family's territory, all members of the group will go into battle. It's simple. If you mess with one, you mess with them all. This spirit of togetherness and cooperativeness is what keeps giant otters off the radar of most of the Amazon's fearsome predators. Not even the majestic jaguar dares to venture out to hunt one of these colossal mammals, knowing that this would mean taking on the whole family. But the swamps of the Amazon are not only home to giant otters. Beneath the dark waters lies none other than the world's largest snake, the green anaconda. Growing up to 10 meters long and weighing up to 200 kilograms, the green anaconda is the terror of all those unwary people who go to the water to take a refreshing sip and end up being strangled by this voracious reptile. With olive green skin with black and brown spots, the anaconda has perfect camouflage that allows it to hide in the swampy Amazon jungle floor. Its nostrils on top of its head are ideal for the snake to breathe while swimming without exposing the rest of its body. Although when you see a colossal anaconda, fear is felt just by imagining its large fangs shooting lethal venom. The truth is that these reptiles do not have fangs, nor are they venomous. However, as all the animal species of the Amazon know well, this does not prevent them from being fearsome hunters. Like the black caiman, the green anaconda sees stealth as its best tool to get its prey deep into its jaws. Hidden among the muddy ground, and living in one of the places with the greatest number of animal species in the world, it is only a matter of time before an unfortunate prey takes the bait. As it begins its attack, the snake lunges its sturdy body at its prey, coiling around it until it suffocates it. In just about 10 seconds, the anaconda has claimed another victim, and now it's on to its favorite part, gobbling up colossal prey. Thanks to the ability to unhinge and snap their jaws together, these snakes can swallow even prey larger than their mouths. Like black caimans, the chewing of prey is something they can skip, and they swallow all their food in one long gulp. With a voracious appetite, few species are beyond the reach of the green anaconda. From large mammals such as capybaras, tapirs, peccaries, or deer, to turtles, birds, and fish, all can become part of the diet of this insatiable glutton. Fortunately for the wild species of the Amazon, after a copious meal, the anaconda usually spends days and even months in a long digestion. For this snake, digesting a large 40-kilogram capybara is by no means an easy task, so it will begin a prolonged fast, during which it will not want to eat for a long time. In general, the appetite of green anacondas is directly related to their size and age. Adolescent specimens devour approximately 1 or 2 prey items per week, while adults have understood that not everything in life can be about eating, and gobble about 1 prey item per month. After a light meal, these snakes enter a kind of trance where they become sluggish and heavy. Knowing the effects of digestion, they usually retreat to safe places where vegetation protects them from possible predators, and try to move as little as possible to save energy. Sometimes, when snakes are threatened by caimans and jaguars, because yes, even the giant anaconda can become prey to the king of the Amazon, they choose to regurgitate the food they have eaten, so they can flee more easily. If, on the other hand, they are not disturbed during their long digestion, the snake's digestive system manages to break down all that copious food, and after several days, the anaconda regurgitates the leftovers. While giant otters rely on each other for food and protection from predators, let's say that anacondas behave a little differently. Living a solitary life, anacondas generally do not tolerate another snake invading their territory. Although they tend to avoid confrontations, when 2 males are playing for the right to reproduce with a fertile female, it is inevitable to participate in mating balls, where the suitors demonstrate their strength with bites, thrusts, and coils. Outside the breeding season, when two anacondas cross paths, fighting is often the order of the day. In these confrontations, the larger individuals often show the smaller ones who is in charge, forcing them to find another place in the swamps. Since the females of the species are usually the most robust, they often end up expelling the males from their territory, and in some cases, in a display of selfishness, they even practice cannibalism to ensure their dominance of the territory, eliminating competition for prey. From the dark swamps dominated by the voracious anaconda, we go to the top of the lively palm-filled wetlands where the colorful hyacinth macaws live. For just as the Amazon is home to the world's largest snake, it is also home to the largest species of parrot in the animal kingdom. Measuring up to 1 meter in length from head to tail, the hyacinth macaw represents all the beauty and biodiversity of the Amazon in a single species. Its colorful and striking blue plumage, with intense yellow rings around the eyes, gives it an appearance that is envied by most of the birds of the Amazon rainforest. This majestic blue bird lives mainly in manduvi trees, a tree species robust and spacious enough to house these large parrots. Likewise, the manduvi is used to form wide cavities where the hyacinth can shelter from predators, and condition these spaces for the laying of their eggs. The relationship of hyacinth macaws with their neighbors, and also colorful toucans, is quite interesting. Toucans, through seed distribution, are directly responsible for the planting of over 80% of the manduvi trees, so it can be said that the weevils give the hyacinth macaws a home. The part of the story where it all gets murky is that toucans also claim up to 50% of the predation on the eggs of these blue parrots. That's nature in the Amazon. What it gives you on the one hand, it takes away on the other. Putting aside their resentment towards toucans, hyacinth macaws leave the comfort of their tree to enjoy the abundant dishes the Amazon rainforest has to offer. Like all birds inhabiting this tropical paradise, they will not limit themselves to eating to their heart's content. The abundance of the Amazon allows its residents from time to time to indulge in a little gluttony. With hundreds of trees laden with palm nuts, seeds, and fruits, these birds don't think twice and begin to feast on these exotic delicacies. Although hyacinths leave pretense aside when foraging for food, coming to taste a wide variety of fruits and plant species, their favorite dish is undoubtedly the hard nuts of the macaba palm. Thanks to their robust beak, they are able to crack the shells of such nuts with ease. Although the older birds are all adept at cracking palm nuts, the younger ones occasionally have a problem or two. If a nut resists being eaten, the macaws use their ingenuity by employing different tools, such as chewed leaves to avoid slipping, or pieces of wood to hit the bark. When hyacinth macaws do not find food near their neighborhood, they have to roll up their sleeves and fly to other areas where they can taste some delicious fruit or seed. The moment one of these birds opens its majestic wings and takes to the skies, it is practically impossible not to marvel at such a spectacle. A hyacinth macaw can fly at speeds of up to 55 kilometers per hour, traveling great distances to find a delicious snack. Back in their cozy canopy home, the sleeping bats had better not be neighbors with the hyacinth macaws, because if they are, they won't be able to sleep a wink all day. These colorful birds are really noisy, having an infinite repertoire of vocalizations. During the day, they spend their time emitting alarm calls, contact calls, and of course courtship calls to woo a beautiful female. With this, and being neighbors of toucans, the hyacinth macaw's neighborhood can be anything but silent. Although they have no natural predators, when hyacinth macaws spot a threat, to avoid trouble, they hide in the safety of their nests, or open their beautiful wings and take flight. It is practically a law for the wild inhabitants of the Amazon that, when they see anything even resembling the yellowish-brown fur of a jaguar, the best thing to do is not to stick around to find out, but to flee. On many occasions, erring on the side of caution can save them from ending up in the clutches of the undisputed king of the Amazon jungle. On others, it was the much more compact, but equally fierce, margay. The margay, also known as tigrillo, is a small feline of no more than 60 centimeters and 5 kilograms that lives in the middle of the wild Amazon. The margay is the living example that in order to survive in the Amazon, it is not necessary to be a 100-kilogram feline like its distant cousin the jaguar. But it is enough with ingenuity and adaptation. The margay spends day and night prowling the thick forests of the Amazon rainforest. Like spider monkeys, the physical abilities of this small feline allow it to move at great speed among the branches, jumping more than 3 meters in the air. This small but amazing felid uses every tool that nature has given it to obtain its sustenance. Like its more lanky relatives, the margay uses its stealth as a weapon against potential prey. Thanks to its camouflaged fur and careful movements, the cat can go completely unnoticed until it is too late for marmosets, opossums, possums, iguanas, and even capuchin monkeys. Despite being related, the margay also uses its skills to climb trees and jump long distances to escape from the ferocious jaguar. Unless they are small rodents, when you are a compact feline of half a meter, you do not inspire much terror. For this reason, the margay must keep its 5 senses alert to protect itself from predators such as pumas, ocelots, and of course, the king of the Amazon. Just as the Amazon rainforest is a natural sanctuary for the small margay, the biodiversity is not far behind when it comes to birds. In addition to being home to the large hyacinth macaws, the Amazon shelters among its deep tropical forests one of the smallest birds in the entire animal kingdom, the tiny hummingbird. Although hummingbirds are not a single species, but rather correspond to a whole family of more than 360 species, the Amazon rainforest is home to more than 140 of them. With an average length of between 7.5 and 13 centimeters, and weighing no more than 24 grams, this tiny bird is a small work of art of Mother Nature. Although reduced in size, nature was generous and tried to reward the hummingbirds with an appearance envied by many Amazonian birds. The hummingbird's compact bodies are covered with relatively long feathers, in colors as vivid as blue, green, purple, or red. Of course, when you have such colorful plumage, you need to keep it well groomed, because you don't want the whole jungle neighborhood to start questioning your hygiene. To be always presentable, the hummingbird is accustomed to showering daily in puddles of water among the vegetation. One of the most striking things about these small residents of the Amazonian skies is their flight. The hummingbird flies in a manner similar to a helicopter, having the ability to change direction easily, and thanks to its low weight, it often floats. The secret of the majestic flight of this small bird lies in its highly accelerated flapping of its wings up to 80 times per second. With such propulsion, hummingbirds can reach speeds of more than 50 kilometers per hour. Of course, in order to sustain such physical activity, they will need a heart to keep up with them. Hummingbirds' hearts beat up to 1,200 times per minute, which is about 11 times the heart rate of a human. To be able to endure this hectic lifestyle, these small birds need to consume large amounts of sugar. Of course, when it comes to hummingbirds, large is relative. Nevertheless, each bird can devour up to half its weight every day, about 5 grams. Thanks to the Creator, in the exotic Amazon rainforest, if there is a surplus of flowers from which these little ones can suck the delicious and nutritious nectar. With a long beak which hides an equally long tongue, the hummingbird has no problem sucking every last drop of nectar from every flower. Although the nectar can be very delicious and high in sugars, there is a small drawback, and that is that a flower has on average only 3 milligrams of this elixir. For this reason, the hummingbird will need to visit about 2,000 flowers a day, sticking its tongue into them as if there were no tomorrow. This is perhaps the price to pay for its accelerated lifestyle. The good news is that in the Amazon, the supply of flowers is almost infinite, so you won't have much trouble finding your next stop. While nectar provides them with all the calories they need to maintain their accelerated metabolism, its protein and mineral value is rather limited. This is why, from time to time, the hummingbird goes into predator mode and sets out to hunt a small insect or perhaps a spider. Although very happy to devour a more substantial meal, when the food chain wants to return the favor, hummingbirds are not very happy about it. As a bird weighing no more than 30 grams, few species would be afraid to see the small but majestic hummingbird. To increase the difficulty of its walks through the Amazon, picking thousands of flowers, the bird must be aware of possible threats. Usually, snakes, owls, spiders, praying mantises, and even other birds would not miss the opportunity to taste a snack as exotic as the colorful hummingbird. While this small bird feeds on the beautiful flowers of the Amazon, in the dark waters of the rivers lurk fish with a voracious appetite ready to prey on their next victim. When piranhas are on the prowl, it is best to stay away from the water. Although their reputation precedes them, the truth is that these majestic fish weighing up to 5 kilograms are not those ferocious predators that wait in the depths, and when they smell a drop of blood, they will attack without mercy. To begin with, piranhas' reputation for being lethal carnivores is true to some extent. They are actually omnivorous, feeding on a wide variety of plants, fish, insects, worms, amphibians, and small mammals. Although piranhas live in schools of hundreds or even thousands in the dark waters of the Amazon, they're not exactly waiting for prey to dive to launch their attack. These fish tend to congregate in large schools to protect themselves from possible attacks by predators. Piranhas are well aware that living in the Amazon, a succulent plate of fish weighing up to 5 kilograms is a meal that no one will be willing to refuse. While some species see terror in the sharp teeth of these fish, caimans, pink dolphins, giant otters, herons, and even jaguars perceive them more as the juicy catch of the day. So the piranhas must choose to be on the lookout for anything that moves on the surface. Although they are not usually those voracious carnivores ready to devour everything in their path, when conditions in their habitat become harsher and food is conspicuous by its absence, it is best to stay away from schools of piranhas. After long periods of starvation, these fish do tend to unleash their wild instincts and become extremely aggressive. Upon perceiving the unmistakable smell of blood in the water, in just a few minutes, large schools of piranhas can even wipe out large prey such as tapirs or capybaras, of which only the memory and perhaps a few bones will remain. Although these scenes of devouring large prey have earned them a not-so-pleasant reputation among Amazonian species, the fact is that piranhas play an important role in keeping rivers and streams clean. When an animal, after completing its biological cycle, passes on to a better life, the piranhas are there to disappear its corpse in just minutes, preventing bacteria from decomposition from colonizing the waters. The same happens with the leftovers left by caimans, anacondas, and jaguars. The piranhas make sure that nothing goes to waste and that the waters remain habitable. While piranhas do a magnificent job as professional cleaners of the Amazon's waters, Unfortunately, they do not have the capacity to stop the pollution that these tributaries have been suffering in recent years. The release of microplastics, pesticides, and heavy metals into the waters of the Amazon River are affecting not only the habitat of the majestic piranhas, but this entire vibrant ecosystem. The effects of the release of industrial wastes into rivers are becoming increasingly evident and are causing the displacement of entire schools of these carnivores and other aquatic species. But water pollution is not the only threat the Amazon rainforest is facing. With the advent of climate change, the drought season, previously almost non-existent, is becoming longer and longer, which has even reduced the flow of the world's largest river. In recent years, the waters of the Amazon River have reached their lowest levels in more than a century, robbing the endless rainforest of its vital sustenance and creating new challenges for the survival of animal species. With decreasing rainfall, desertification of the Amazon is a phenomenon that is gaining more and more strength. Each year, the drought season claims thousands of square kilometers of what were once thick tropical forests teeming with life. As a result, wild residents must seek new destinations. Deforestation in the Amazon is also one of the dangers caused by climate change and human activities in the area. The conversion of land for agriculture and cattle ranching has eradicated entire forests. Between 2001 and 2020 alone, the Amazon rainforest lost a total of 50,000 square kilometers, equivalent to the entire territory of a country like Spain. Without the abundant water resources of a few decades ago, and with more and more arid land being used for cattle ranching, forest fires, rather than environmental disasters, have become routine in the Amazon. By the year 2024, a total of 220,000 square kilometers of tropical forests will have been razed by fires the size of entire cities, and, of course, claiming the lives of millions of wildlife species. With such massive burning, the Amazon has gradually lost its status as the lungs of the world, and there are even scientists who claim that this tropical paradise now generates more carbon dioxide than it absorbs, giving a radical twist to the ecological balance of the planet. Another activity that is decimating the Amazon's wild residents is the boom in poaching and illegal trafficking of exotic species. Although banned today, the trafficking of species such as the majestic hyacinth macaw once drove these magnificent birds to near extinction. On the black market, one of these gentle bluebirds can fetch as much as $25,000, a pittance that should not be worth taking such a majestic bird away from its home. The logging of the endless forests is an activity that is directly affecting species such as the wild spider monkeys. With the loss of their habitat, these primates must abandon their home, going to smaller areas where encounters with predators are more frequent. Also, in some regions of the Amazon, spider monkeys are directly hunted for their meat, and even kidnapped for the illegal pet trade. Even for the glorious king of the Amazon rainforest, the story is not much different. This gigantic feline is prey to brutal poachers who, ignoring its role in this rich ecosystem, decide to put an end to its life and sell its skin and fangs on the illegal market. With the eruption of cattle ranching, many ranchers have taken it upon themselves to hunt the wild predator in retaliation for the killing of their cows by the jaguar, which has led to a 25% decline in the species in the last 30 years. Currently, it is estimated that there are only 79,000 felines left in the Amazon rainforest. Although the situation does not seem very encouraging, there is still time to reverse all the effects that climate change and human activities have had on the untamed Amazon. With responsible use of the region's natural resources, coupled with greater awareness of the dangers faced by the wild inhabitants of this majestic rainforest, we can ensure that the Amazon regains its full splendor and continues to be a refuge for thousands of animal species. Have you been amazed by the wildlife stories of the Amazon? Why not give us a like and subscribe to our channel? Also, if you are interested in helping to preserve the Amazon and its wild inhabitants, you can share this video with all your friends. Together we can protect this animal oasis in the heart of South America. For now, we'll see you next time with more stories of our planet's fantastic wildlife.